Hi, you guys. It's Yaz. And today I want to talk about how do you know that you know somebody? Because everybody is always talking about, but I love them, but I'm in love with them. First of all, okay, until you've gone through this list that I've put together, okay, I'm going to go through a list of certain things you need to be aware of to know whether you actually know the person that you're dating, okay? Because, you have to go through certain things with somebody to know their ins and outs. Otherwise, you don't know them. Just because you talk to somebody on the phone occasionally, here or there, when they're at their best, doesn't mean that you know these people, you guys. So I'm going to talk about some important points that you guys need to be aware of, okay? First of all, how do you know somebody? In order to know somebody, you've got to see them when they're angry. You've got to see them when they're sad. You've got to see them when they're happy. You've got to see them when they're depressed, okay? That's one thing. You have to be able to say, okay, I've seen them go through all these kind of emotions. The next thing, in order to know whether you know somebody, is you have to see them when they're broke and you have to see them when they're rich, okay? It's like somebody that is broke that all of a sudden becomes rich or becomes well off, doesn't have to be rich, but well off, okay? Could turn into a completely different person from who they were when they were broke. When they were broke, they could have been all loving, but when they, came into some money or something like that, they could be independent. They might not need you. So it's good to see whether somebody, changes because of money. All right, now I'm going to move on. The next thing in order to know somebody is how they are around your family, okay? Like if you've been dating them a while and everything, how do they relate to your family? Do they make an effort to be friendly? Are they respectful to your family? Or do they just sit there like a lump on the couch and don't say anything and feel like they don't have to say anything or make an effort to, be friendly to your family? Because let me tell you something, when we all talk about relationships, a lot of coaches talk about relationships, you need to look for this quality, that quality, blah, blah, blah. Excuse you, you need to also tell these people that they need to look at their family, okay? Especially if you're looking to have a serious relationship with somebody. This is so important because you guys, in a lot of cases, you do marry that family. Oh my God, it's so true. You marry that family because, especially if you have kids, because these people are going to be around when you have kids, all right? When you have birthday parties, when you have graduations, whenever something's going on. So you're going to have to relate to these people and you better like their family or at least be able to get along with their family, okay? I could do a whole podcast on family, but I'm not going to get into all that, all right? The other thing that I want to bring up is this. The person that you're dealing with, okay, are they respectful of themselves? Now, what does that mean to be respectful of themselves? In other words, do they take care of themselves? Or do they take care of their personal hygiene? Are you with somebody that lets themselves go? Are you with somebody that you always have to tell them, oh, don't you think you're going to shave? Don't you think, you should put on a different shirt if we're going out? In other words, do you have to mother this person? Okay. You want somebody that, can take care of themselves, can be independent and go out and be presentable and, not look dirty or mangled or whatever. Okay. A lot of people don't think this is important, but in a lot of cases, it could be important, okay? Because if you bring this person around, let's say your coworkers or your boss, you don't want to be embarrassed to this person. Now, another thing that I need to bring up on the list, okay, is when we talk about how well do you know somebody, is watch them how they are with their friends, okay? Now, you're not going to see it really in the beginning because they're going to be on guard when they first bring you around their friends because they know you're watching. But as you get to date somebody, they let their guard down, and then you could really see how they are with their friends. How much do they make their friends a priority? See, this is another thing that people don't get, that talk to somebody either online or they video chat with them or something like that. You're not seeing this person in everyday life. You're not seeing how this person reacts to other people. Okay? The other thing about knowing what type of cat you got is you want to ask yourself, is this person lazy? Oh my God, lazy. Okay? This is on the list. And the reason that this is so important, you guys, is if you ever live with somebody who's lazy, or let's say you're a homeowner or something like that, you don't want somebody that you have to do all the work around the house. You want somebody who takes initiative and gets off the couch and isn't just sitting in front of a TV playing, video games day and night, and the grass is up to your knees, all right? So you want somebody that is not lazy. You want to see if this person is lazy, okay? That's on the list as well. Okay, next, moving along. The other thing as far as whether you know somebody, is you have to ask yourselves, is this person the type that will do it themselves or expect someone else to do it for them, okay? In other words, there's some people out there that will leave a plate in the sink and not care about washing the plate. And then there's some people that can't stand having a plate in the sink, all right? And you may not think it's important, but people fight over these things, especially in marriages. Just little things like that, like throwing a candy wrapper on a table and not throwing it in the garbage. So you have to, you have to see, when you know this person, you got to say, am I going to be able to deal with somebody who's, let's say, not as neat as I am, or is too neat, the opposite, and everything has to be, according to, you can't have one little spot on the refrigerator or they go crazy. Because sometimes people fight over very petty things. And these, like I said, these are things that you may not know until you spend a lot of time with somebody. That's why we always say you really don't know somebody till you spend a lot of time with this person and you've seen them in everyday life, okay? Have you seen this person when you got a flat tire with them? Were they able to swing with it? Are they able to swing with a crisis and be able to change a tire or call somebody to change a tire? Or are they somebody that flips off the handle and starts yelling and screaming, okay? Because you want somebody that can handle, when things don't always go right, or, in life, there's always things that pop up. There's always problems that pop up. And you need somebody that can roll with the punches, okay? Now, the other thing, in order to know somebody, is you want to see them when they don't get their way, okay? How is this person when they don't get their way? Do they go into silence? A lot of people, they do the silent routine, okay? That's their way. That's passive aggressive to let you know I'm pissed, all right? And then you have the other type that starts yelling and cursing. So you have to say to yourself, a lot of people, they say, I love him, I love her, this and that. Do you know how this person fights? Do you know how this person fights? When you get into an argument with this person, is this person going to go into a shell and clam up? Is this person going to deflect what you're saying and bring up a different topic because they won't communicate or talk to you? Is this person going to stonewall you and walk out the door? Okay? Is this person going to gaslight you and, totally like create confusion in your mind when you ask them a question? This is how you could be dealing with toxic people, because these kind of things are going to happen. So you want to see how somebody fights, all right? Because every relationships, there's going to be disagreements. Some people have big disagreements. Some people have little disagreements. But you got to know how your partner fights, all right? Like my ex used to fight. He was passive aggressive, which was the worst, okay? And back then I was not in tune to all of this narcissistic, passive-aggressive type of stuff. So when we used to get into an argument or something like that, he would just, he would just tell me, yeah, no, nothing's wrong, or whatever, And then meanwhile, later on, when you went to a family party, he had a face on, okay? Or whatever. And I'm like, what's the matter with him? And I'd have my family asking me, what's the matter? And I'd be like, I don't know. I thought everything was all right. They were telling me everything's all right. Meanwhile, that's how they fight, okay? Passive aggressive. So, you have people that are passive aggressive as well. And you also have other people that will come out and tell you and, will not see your side of the other side of the coin as well. Okay, now I'm going to move along on the list, you guys, all right? So here's another thing. When you say to yourself, do I know this person? Can this person take accountability when, they are wrong? Can they say, I'm sorry, yeah, I was wrong. Maybe we should have done it this way, or anything along those lines, all right? You want somebody that can acknowledge that, if there was a problem and they were a cause to the problem, that they can acknowledge it, okay? So when you say to yourself, how well do I know this person? Think about all the times that, you guys knocked heads, and say to yourself, did they ever kind of apologize ever? Did they ever take accountability? Or did they ever even acknowledge that there was an issue here? That's the other thing too, okay? A lot of people will not acknowledge certain things that you're saying, all right? They like to sweep it under the rug. Why? Because they don't want to be wrong. And a lot of narcissists do this, you guys. So what do? They deflect, and they'll flip it on you, and they'll put the blame on you and say, no, I did that because you made me do that, or something like that. It's never their fault, all right? That's how you know you're dealing with a narcissist, because they flip the blame, all right? Now, I'm going to move on to the list of how to know whether you know somebody, okay? Next, and this is a big one, all right? You need to ask yourself, when you say to yourself, how well do I know this person? Okay, when this person is bored, can this person deal with boredom? Oh my God. And this is a big one in today's modern dating, all right? Because a lot of people don't want to deal with boredom, okay? Or they don't want to deal with, the same thing. They always want something new and exciting. So what do? They have different options. When they get bored with one person, they shift and they go to the next person. Then when they get bored of that person, they come back to you, all right? So when you say, how well do I know this person? Ask yourself, can this person deal with boredom? Is this somebody that can sit in their home and watch a movie if nobody else is around? Or is this somebody who's always got to be out of their house because they can't stand to be in their house and bored, all right? And know yourself. Are you compatible with that, okay? Because when you're in a relationship, there may be times that you are not around, and if you're dealing with somebody who can never be by themselves when you're not around, that person is always going to be looking to be with other people, okay? Now, you don't know what that means. That means they could be out at a bar with friends all the time when you're not around, or it could mean they're hanging out with their family or whatever. But this is other clues to say, okay, how well do I know this person? All right, I'm going to move along, okay? The next thing on the list, next, all right? Are they dependent on anyone, like family, for support, or can they think for themselves, all right? This comes into play if you're getting into like a serious kind of relationship and you're dealing with somebody who every time you get into an argument, they run to their family and they're complaining about you. This happens a lot, especially in marriages. You guys, take it from me, all right? There's a lot of people, and I know, my friends and family, same thing. There's a lot of people, when they get into an argument, who's the first person they call? They call their mother, okay? Or they call their sister or their brother, and they're complaining about them, all right? This is kind of a catch-22, because in some sense, sometimes you need you need somebody, to talk to. Everybody needs somebody that they got to talk to, as long as it doesn't cross boundaries, okay? As long as you don't let that person's influence, influence your relationship, where that person has so much power over the relationship you have with your partner. And the other thing too is when you bring outsiders into your relationship, these people are going to have an impact, because if they like you, they're going to have a positive impact. If they don't like you, they're going to have a negative impact on your partner. So this is another thing that you need to be aware of when you're dealing with somebody and you say to yourself, well, how well do I know this person? If I get into an argument with them, are they going to run to their mother, who happens to not like me, and start bad-mouthing me? And the mother is a troublemaker and she's a fire starter, and she's going to get him all fired up, and he's going to come back with a bigger attitude, okay? So know whether there are outside influences around that are going to influence your relationship, okay? All right, next on how well you know somebody. Okay, now we're going to go into cheap or generous, all right? Is this person cheap or is this person generous? And I'm going to give you guys an example. For example, we're going to take Valentine's Day, all right? Like, my girlfriend dealt with a guy that didn't believe in Valentine's Day, said it wasn't a real holiday, didn't even buy her a fucking card, okay? Now, to me, that is a lame excuse. You don't have to go out, you don't have to spend a lot of money or something like that, but to do nothing, and then for her friends to see, her friends that were in relationships to see, their men give them flowers or gifts or whatever, and she didn't even get a card. Know who you're dealing with. Are you dealing with somebody who's, very cheap and is not going to buy you gifts at your birthday, or is going to forget your birthday, or not buy you something, on the holidays or something like that, and they're going to say, well, I don't believe in that, or something like that? Is that something you could live with? All right? That's somebody that's not giving. That's a red flag, you guys, all right? I know people that broke up over these things because their partner, didn't buy them anything for their birthday, or they were very cheap. So look at the person you're with and say to yourself, is this person generous or is this person cheap, all right? That also comes into play too if you're dealing with somebody and they never want to take you out. Never want to take you out. That's why you have to start out by going out with somebody instead of going in the beginning, then hanging out in a house. Because when you hang out in a house, you start out hanging out in a house, there's little incentive for them to want to take you out afterwards, all right? It moves too quickly. It moves the opposite way. You're given the dessert before you had the dinner, all right? So this is all, clues as to how well you know somebody, all right? The other thing is, another clue is whether that person always wants to do things with other people instead of just you and them, okay? I've seen situations where some people, when they get together with someone, they always got to bring a friend, okay? They always got to bring the friend along, or they're going to hang out with their friends, and you're there as like the third wheel, okay? So this is what I say. How well do you know them? When you go out with this person, is this person always looking to hang out with friends? All right. Now, next, this is a big one, okay? How well do you know them? Is this person a complainer, or are they sarcastic with a wise-ass mouth, okay? One of the things you don't want to deal with, you guys, is somebody who's sarcastic all the time, all right? They always give you like a sarcastic answer when you ask them a question, and you're sitting there and you're saying to them, well, did you mean that or that? And they're sitting there with like a smirky grin on their face. It's really like passive aggressive. So, you might say something like, well, did you like the movie or something like that? And meanwhile, they didn't like the movie, and they could give you an example, and they might say something to the effect of like, oh yeah, no, it was great. No, definitely great pick there. Great. And you look at them and you don't know whether they're being serious or they're not being serious or something like that. If they're sarcastic, guess what? They're going to be sarcastic all the time, and it's going to drive you crazy. Okay. It's going to drive you crazy. The other thing I wanted to bring up is How well do you know them? Are they a complainer? Do they complain about everything? Are they somebody that when you go to a restaurant, they're complaining about the food? They're complaining about the service. They're complaining about the waiter. They're complaining about the neighbors or anything along those lines. How well do you know this person, okay? Now, one of the things that, I want to advocate for when you're looking for qualities in somebody as to how well you know them is it's always great, you guys, when you find somebody who has a sense of humor, somebody who could make you laugh, okay? People that can make you laugh really, they touch you. They touch you, they lift you up, okay? I had a friend of mine, he was killed, I just found out, a few months ago. And he always used to make me laugh, with like Beetlejuice from Howard Stern and everything like that. He touched me in so many ways because he was really fucking funny, okay? He was really fucking funny. And like when he died, it's like I felt like a hole in my heart because I thought about all those times that he made me laugh. Okay? So this is what I mean. Like, these are all great qualities. Somebody that lifts you up. Okay? You know how they say laughter is the best medicine, and it's so true. You could be in a situation where you're going through a hard time or something like that. And if somebody, is light and can make you laugh about it and everything, it makes it so much easier to get through hard times in life when you have somebody that's like that. So that's what I mean. Get to know somebody. See, is this person a Debbie Downer? Or is this somebody that you could have a good time with and make you laugh and stuff like that? And you guys have like the same sense of humor and have a great time. Okay, now moving on in the list here. All right. On the great list. Oh, okay. Now, the next thing I want to bring up is, of course, how well you know them goes into effect, like how well they treat you, okay? Do they make you a priority? Does this person make you a priority, you guys? You got to ask yourself when you're dealing with them, does this person make me a priority? Now, another thing I want to bring up, you guys, because this comes to mind. I don't know if anybody watches 90 Day Fiancé. That show, oh my God. These people, they go in blind. I'm going to do a whole podcast on dating people overseas. But in this podcast, this guy, he goes to meet the chick in Colombia, right? And he's hanging out and she's telling him, they're using the little voice recorder, and he's like, oh, I want to know everything about you, this and that. And she's like telling him, yeah, well, my ex was a hitman and like he put me in jail and everything like that. And he's like, his eyes are bulging like, uh-huh. And he's like, well, he's not going to hurt us, is he? And the point I'm trying to make with all this is he was talking to this chick for like a year. You mean to tell me you never asked her about her past or her past relationships or what type of people she dated? Okay? This is what I mean about knowing somebody. You want to know what somebody's about? Look at who they dated in the past. Look at what kind of people they dated in the past. Did they date players? Did they date people that were abusive? Did they take that abuse? Did they date people that were, they were only concerned with looks in the person? This is how you get to know somebody. And also, I always talk about that because you got to look at why they broke up. Because when you get this person talking, they're going to unveil who they are, because they're going to start talking about things like, oh, well, she would always complain all the time and I would just walk out when she started bitching. Because here's the thing, you guys, if that's how he reacted to his last or his ex, guess what's going to happen when you start bitching? He's going to walk out on you too, all right? So it's very important to know what happened in prior relationships with somebody. That's how you get to know who somebody really is. Now, another thing that I want to bring up, I hear it a lot too. People say, oh, well, if they have a good relationship with their mother, that means they're going to treat you good. Not always, you guys, and I'll tell you why. Because if they put their mother on a pedestal, okay, and they value everything that comes out of their mother's mouths more than what comes out of your mouth, that person has not broke free from the wound, okay? So this is what I'm trying to tell you. You got to be careful of these people that are very attached to their families, because what they'll do is they'll put their family's opinion above yours, okay? See, when you get involved with somebody and you get married to somebody, your partner becomes number one. Number fucking one. Okay? Yes, you can still love your family. Yes, you could still be there for your family and value your family. But your partner and your children become number one. Okay? So be careful when you deal with a mama's boy or a woman the opposite. A woman that's attached to her mother as well. It could go the other way, because then that could be trouble. All right? Because now it's not just you and your partner. Now you're in a love triangle, because now that person's all in your fucking business. And believe me, marriages break up over this. So be careful when you see a relationship with somebody that's very attached to their mother and they don't understand that, their wife or their husband comes first. Okay? So that's what I mean about how well do you know this person? How well do you know this person, okay? Now, I've talked about this in a prior podcast, and this is crucial, you guys. When you're sitting there and you're saying to yourself, how well do I know this person? You have to ask yourself, if I were to marry this person and something were to happen to me, could I trust this person to raise my kids? Is this person responsible? Would this person do the right thing by my kids? Or is this person irresponsible, a flake, or has bad morals and values and would be a bad influence on my kids? Or this person is more interested in their own well-being and their self and their own personal pleasure than to know what it is to sacrifice in raising a kid? Okay, that's really important. That is really important. And if you're somebody who's divorced, you totally understand this, okay? Because when you raise kids as a single parent and everything like that, you have to say to yourself, would I want that person raising my kids with their values and their morals and, them not being able to even take the kids to a doctor's appointment or not be able to stay up with a sick kid all night or something like that. You need somebody that you could say to yourself, okay, this person knows how to rough it. This person knows what it is that, if somebody gets sick, they could stay up all night or something like that. Because, later on, you don't think about these things when you're young, but later on, and especially if you get married and you have children, these are all things that come up, you guys, all right? When you're married and you have kids and stuff like that, you deal with kids that, need your attention sometimes 24/7. And you need a partner that could roll with it. Otherwise, it's going to fall on you. Or otherwise, you're going to have a broken marriage, okay? And it's still going to fall on you. So you want to make sure that that person has the maturity and the endurance to be able to handle something like that, okay? Very important. Now, another very important point I want to bring up is when you say to yourself, how well do I know this person? Look at how that person is living. Look at how they're living. Are they independent on their own, or are they dependent on a family member? They can't make it on their own. That's number one. Are they living in a shitty neighborhood, or are they living in an okay neighborhood? Okay? And, they should have done better for themselves because they're at a certain point in their age, okay? In their life, rather. In other words, if somebody's like 46 and, they're still in the hood or something like that, and they never were able to get out of that rut that they're in, okay? You're going to have to deal with that. So you have to say to yourself, what has this person accomplished at their age? Are they behind where they should be in life, or are they moving forward in their life? Okay? Or are they just somebody that goes in a circle and everything like that, and they're not moving forward, okay? And you're moving forward. Somebody like that is going to drag you down. So you want to say to yourself, is this person moving in the same way? Are they living the same way that I'm living? Or are they, they're hanging out on a street corner every night, okay? That's another thing, it's very important. If you look at how somebody lives, oh my God, it tells you, besides the fact of, you look at somebody's exes, but if you look at how they live, what's their lifestyle like, okay? You have to ask yourself, could I mesh my lifestyle with their lifestyle? Could we, be compatible? Or are we not going to be compatible because we like different things? Maybe that person likes a city life and you like the country, or something along those lines, all right? Maybe that person wants to live next door to their parents and you don't, okay? You want to live far away from family because you want you want to be away from all that. Are you on the same page, okay? Now, the last point I want to make is this. If you really want to know how well you know somebody, is if you're at your lowest point in your life. In other words, if you're with somebody and you feel like, okay, this person, you think you know them in and out, right? But let's say that you don't have anything to offer them. Nothing financial. You're not offering them a place to stay. You're not any kind of benefit to them except for the fact that you're a good person. You have to see, is this person going to stick around? Okay? That's why I tell you, the way you know somebody is worth something to you, or whether they really mean what they say, because anybody could say anything, you guys, all right? But just take away any benefit that you would offer to them and see if that person would still stick around. What are the benefits? Maybe if you couldn't offer them sex, like in other words, you say, you're not feeling good or something like that, and then see if they still want to hang out with you. Or if you can't offer them anything financially, see if they still want to stick around with you just to be in your company, all right? That's a great way to know how well you know somebody. Because so many people take someone at face value and think that, because they say, oh, I want to be with you, you're everything I want and everything like that, that's all great. But if I can't offer you something, are you still going to want to be with me? You know what I'm saying? Because there's situations where people get involved with somebody and they could be in a serious relationship, or they can get married and somebody could get sick or something like that, or might need extra help, because they're not feeling well and they might need the support of that person. And that person is not supporting you in the sense that they won't be there for you if you needed a favor or something. So that's how you're going to really, really know. That old saying, you really see who your true friends are when you're down and out, okay? So if they're sticking around when you're at your lowest point, then you have a good idea that this person is in your corner for the right reasons. So I hope that helps you guys. And if it did, please hit the subscribe button and share, and have a great night. Hi, you guys, it's Yaz. If you have a dating or relationship question, or you need an opinion on something, go to the link in the bio and ask a question and get a personalized video sent back to you. It's in the Linktree/TheGameExposed, and you could ask a question and get a personalized video confidentially sent to you, answering your question. Hi, you guys, it's Yaz, and I want to tell you about my 2 books on Amazon. The first book is Regain Your Power. It's all about power and relationship. Who has the power in the relationship? And it goes into all of that, okay? The other book is Signs He's Not Into You, He's Wasting Your Time, okay? Check it out. It gives you a lot of good clues as to whether you're with somebody who's a real one or somebody who's just going to waste your time. You could read them both with Kindle's free trial membership. So check it out. Link is in the podcast description.